and welcome back as always. We're back again.
Hi.
On Zoom, long distancing. Practicing social distancing, guys.
That's right.
But at least we have this. This is great technology to have, so we can still react together. Goodness. And we're going to be watching Sonic the Hedgehog, the new movie that just came out.
And this is Shadow.
Yeah, Mom was so excited to find Shadow. I know, I had that so long ago. I have Tails somewhere, too. Do you remember Tails?
I thought you had Sonic downstairs, too, but you didn't.
Really? I thought I had a Sonic, but I know I had Shadow. I used to love Shadow, and I used to play the old PlayStation 2 Shadow the Hedgehog game. I'm dated, guys. But do you guys know anything about Sonic the Hedgehog?
Nothing at all. That
I know that you used to watch it. But
and you made a costume.
I did. I made a Sonic the Hedgehog mascot and Shadow the Hedgehog. Yes, I did both, and I sold them.
And Tommy was Shadow at a...
Tom was actually Sonic. I was always Shadow. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You guys
I totally. Maybe I'll in the PIP. I'll show you guys like the costumes that I did in the past. And we used to go to conventions a lot. Oh, I used to love that.
You did really
I loved creating costumes and props. It was so fun. Thanks, guys. And I haven't done it in a while now. Now that we're doing YouTube, this takes up most of my time, so I haven't been doing that. But I absolutely love doing it. I have a tiny house, and they take up a lot of space. And my studio here that I'm using for editing is tiny, so it took up more than just this room. I had to like spread out to other rooms, and it was like overwhelming.
In one room.
Yeah, and then I had nowhere to store them afterwards, so I'd have to sell them after a few months. Sonic the Hedgehog, and I know you guys know Mario, very different, but I used to love Mario as well, but Sonic the Hedgehog was always big to me growing up, and I used to always play the video games of Sonic. You know, on Sega Genesis, that was big. And I love that Sega. And Tom and I, my twin brother, like we used to play all the time. And I loved being the secondary character. So I was always Tails and he was always Sonic. And in one of the games, Tails, you know, was always a sidekick. So he was almost invincible. So he would die, but he was able to like come right back. So I would do all like the heavy stuff in the games. And then, you know, Tom would help too. But then Tails can fly as well. He's the fox, and he had two tails, and he could actually spin them around like a helicopter and fly around. So I used to pick up Tom and fly him around everywhere. Oh, the memories! God, but we used to love doing that. We used to really get excited after school to play that game together. And I love Mom with Shadow. Yeah. So I did see this movie in theaters. I couldn't help myself. I got really excited. I'm like, Bookie, we're going to go see this. So I brought him along. You guys have not seen this, so you guys have no clue.
No idea.
It is live action.
Jim Carrey's in it. I know that.
Yes, Jim Carrey is in it.
Jim Carrey, okay.
So it's live action, and it, of course, has some CGI, some animation mixed in with it. So I guess we'll talk about it after. I want to quiz you on certain things, but there's no way you're going to know. Well, I'll ask one thing. Do you guys know anything about the bad guy on Sonic the Hedgehog? He's like a big guy, kind of round in the belly.
No idea.
Big mustache, usually.
I'm sorry, I never was into your...
Yeah.
Oh, God, no, you were always so great with us growing up. Absolutely. But you just weren't into the whole, like, you know, TV portion of it, which was totally fine.
You like Bugs Bunny.
That way. Oh, Bugs Bunny's hilarious.
Now you're really dating me, Mom. Thanks.
Hey, I love Bugs Bunny too, and that was dating when I was growing up. I loved it, And again, I have that box that I never opened it. I won it at a Christmas party, and I never opened it. I think it's a full box set of Bugs Bunny or Looney Tunes. So we should do like a joke thing at some point. But there's just so many things to watch. So eventually we'll get there. Eventually, all we'll be doing is reacting, and we're gonna need to like hire just editors to do everything for us. You know?
Right, exactly.
My arms look so freaking big in this camera. It's like insane. It's like a fishbowl almost, where I'm like, whoa.
No, but I don't know anything about the show at all. I'm sure it's gonna be fun with Jim Carrey in it.
I do love Jim Carrey. I haven't seen him in anything really recently.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm happy he's in this for sure. So, are you guys ready to get into this?
We're ready.
Sure are.
I'm on one car.
Oh!
Turtle, you better get
Oh, he's gonna get smushed.
Oh no!
No! Oh, good. Thanks, son.
Poor turtle.
I can't catch his breath.
Oh no!
My favorite person is the Donut Lord.
Donut Lord. Yeah. Local cop.
Oh my God.
Say hello to Crazy Carl.
Is he teasing him?
I know you're Moving
Oh, God.
home is my favorite. So cool.
Child, Crazy Carl might be taking a picture.
At least he can do that by himself, I guess.
Like that, yeah,
I did it.
all by himself.
I really am
Oh, okay.
forever.
You have to do some major work on that diamond.
I know, I just ruined it.
Whoa.
Even in outer space.
I'm sure no one noticed that giant blue explosion, right?
He's just looking at it.
Except that guy.
This needs a much more sophisticated mind.
You're not suggesting who.
I know, he's a little weird.
Weird.
No.
I think I know who it is.
But he's also brilliant.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Of course.
Lightning shot out of your butt, and now they're coming for you.
It's pretty epic.
Time for Plan B, Mushroomville. I gotta take my stuff. Okay, the rings. The rings, yes, of
Rings.
course.
I'd be
Yes,
carrying everything.
definitely.
Here we go.
Not just a backpack.
Mushroom Planet, here I come.
Pause in the air.
Meow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Oh no, it's rain. Oh, okay. Gonna fall in there.
I'll see you in San Francisco.
Yeah, there he goes.
The Blue Devil.
Crazy Carl was right. Oh, he's awake. Oh, he comes right
Oh,
out.
there he is. Oh, he's up.
I'm from the power company investigating the blackout.
Oh,
Just like that.
boy. Oh no.
Kidding? You're from the power company?
Nothing to see here.
Oh,
Uh-oh. Oh.
oh boy.
Wait! Don't hurt him!
Oh, goodness, she's on home.
Oh my God.
Stay in the car. I don't want anybody seeing you.
Fine.
Whoa.
He's going crazy. He won't
Oh
stay.
my God.
Not exactly the healthiest
Oh,
meal, but
he's gone. Oh no, he's on a motorcycle somewhere twirling around.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Oh, look at him.
oh yeah. Look at yeah.
Partner, come on. We're leaving.
We don't like your kind around here.
Our kind?
Oh, you tick them out.
He's so fast.
Whoa.
Punch him.
Whoa.
Oh,
He got it.
they're gonna think he pushed him. Oh,
Perfect
big
bar fight. Woo! Everyone's like, yeah. It's like Quicksilver.
It does remind me of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, Wedgie.
Wedgie. Oh, that's a good one.
Oh gosh.
He's so great.
He's cute.
Oh,
Oh shit.
Now the trunk.
Jeez.
oh, that was
Oh.
such a pretty trailer.
your body.
No, not again! I think that tank just had a baby.
Ooh, target.
Oh.
Ooh, hot frisbee.
Oh no, that poor.
Uh-oh, Mommy's gonna get lipstick on her nose.
No. Oh, come on.
Oh, look at Mom's lipstick.
And then like a little mini one comes out of the tire.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, there is.
Another little guy.
That doesn't sound
There's
good.
another one. Uh-oh. Oh, sticky.
Oh.
Get off me!
Watch it, watch it. Don't trust it. Oh, I knew that.
Little guy.
Oh, did I?
He says it in a different language. The Japanese. The robot moves and creepy moves. I would love that.
Downhill skiing. Alpine.
Come on, buddy.
Gotta go fast!
Whoa, jeez.
so he won't hurt your feet anymore.
Oh,
Really?
how sweet.
Oh, okay.
No one's ever given me a gift before.
Aw. There, it's authentic. Thank goodness he's
How was
tiny.
that?
How much longer? I can't breathe in here.
Oh, God. We're going to think that.
Just,
Do you have your child in that bag?
Yes, it's a child, but it's not mine.
Oh, my God.
Relax. I'm a cop, okay?
These last 2 days have been the best 2 days of my life.
Aww.
that's nice.
Oh, right in there.
Oh, no.
See, in there.
Oh, naturally.
San Francisco, Mr. Bukowski.
Nice of you to swing by on your way to Comic-Con.
Yeah, what are you?
Comic-Con.
I'm Robotnik.
You know about that
Modulate
one.
my body temperature and reduce drag.
Don't worry, I know exactly what to do.
Oh. What? What's again?
Ooh.
Like the bar.
Oh, jeez.
Come on, baby.
He's like ADD. And alright, they're falling.
Oh,
And the rings are falling too. Got one ring.
that's cool.
Whoa!
Montana. Green Hills.
Yeah.
And he's going back too.
Woo! Oh, that poor bus!
Yeah,
He just killed all those
Anybody
people.
on there?
Oh!
Oh.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
You don't see that every day.
Who the hell do you think you are? I'm the donut lord, you son of a...
I'm the chocolate lord.
Ah, there he is.
Finally. Knows what to do.
Yeah, I'm doing. Oh,
Watch his
oh.
hand!
His name was Sonic. And he was my friend.
My bucket list is complete.
Aw, you know, check mark!
Oh,
He's gonna go supersonic.
oh, my God.
Wow, I guess so.
Glasses down.
Oh, boy.
He's not going without a fight.
That's right, it's not. Oh,
Kind of the whole town.
oh, shit.
Ooh.
It's the boss level.
Wow.
Guess what, Eggman? I'm not leaving Earth. You are.
Ooh. You broke my toy.
Oh,
Five.
Connection.
It's time for you to go back to your cave.
all right. Yeah.
Buddy, where are you going?
You said I have to go
Go
back
out
to my
that way.
cave.
Aw.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your hedgehog cave.
Yeah.
All looks similar, kind of, sort of, to his
Aw,
cave.
yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, he has a
Oh,
bean
look
bag.
at that.
it's beanbag.
Oh, mushrooms.
Look at the mushroom, please.
Yeah.
Just like a face.
A lesser man would die here.
But not me. Oh, he has the quill.
Look at this. Oh, tails.
Oh, is that what you were
Let me
talking
see.
about?
Oh, yeah.
Woohoo!
Cute tails.
Yay, tails! Woo!
Hey.
I think that's the only cutscene, but we'll let it roll just in case. But so I'm gonna take out that one earbud. I am so curious what you guys think. Again, you guys
That's
know
good.
nothing
That's
about
very
Sonic the
good.
Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Mom knew a little bit because of the video games I used to play as a kid. And Kim, you knew nothing about
Right, I
Sonic
knew
the Hedgehog.
nothing. I knew about your
Yeah.
costumes, but that was about it. And
Yeah.
I thought they were
That's
just
good.
bracelets.
Yeah, and then, yeah, exactly. And then all the rings, like all the different references they had in this, you had no clue.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I did love the villain, though. I love
He
the
was
old
great.
one.
Yeah, that was good.
Jim
Oh, he was
Carrey
fine.
is hilarious. I
He's
love
always-
him.
He had
always
little
crazy.
bits. I haven't really watched any of his movies except I just watched him on In Living Color. And he did,
Yes, I remember that
Fire
because
Marshal Bill. Oh my God, you could just see that little characteristic of the Fire Marshal Bill.
Really? Because you used to watch that when I was little, and I remember like you would play that sometimes, and I remember him being on it. So, but that's really cool. Yeah, Jim Carrey is hilarious, and I do love him in so many roles. And this, I thought he was really good as Robotnik. He was the old villain of the old Sonic the Hedgehog games I used to play, and he is the same character, but then years later in the newer games, they changed his name. So he's the same guy, but they changed his name to Dr. Eggman. And I love how they kept both.
Was it like a nickname from these like drones they did?
I don't think so, but I like how they did that in this one because the character used to be really, really fat and just really round. So I think they called him Eggman because he looked like a giant egg. But he had the same outfit. He had like the red, I think orange and black, and it was very similar. But anyways, I think he was Eggman because he was bald and and mainly because of his big belly. But nowadays, everything's sensitive, but I get it. And they labeled him, stereotyped him. So they changed it where, look, because he likes all these egg bots, like all these little oval type robots that look like eggs. So they changed the reference and he wasn't fat in this. So I like how they did that. And I love how they had both references to the old video games and the old cartoons and, comparing to the ones now, too, that they had all kinds of references to almost everything, which I thought was really nice.
That's good. Tie it up.
Yeah, to tie it up. So I really enjoyed all the references. I really wish they did more on Sonic's world and about what he was about. I was so excited to see Tails at the end. When I first saw this in theaters, I was like, yay, Tails! He was always my favorite, I never watched the newer cartoon. I know they have a lot of different cartoons for Sonic the Hedgehog, but I used to watch... I think it was just called Saturday Morning Cartoon Sonic or Sat AM or something like that because they abbreviated it because there were so many different cartoons out there. But that was really old, and I love that one. So I don't think this is referring to that, but he did like chili dogs in that cartoon. So I love how they had that reference in this one. Yeah, because I really thought they were going to ignore all the old references and just do the new. So I thought that was a lot of fun. But anyways, so you guys liked it? Did you think it was too childish? Did you think it was adorable?
It was a little childish, but I thought they were going to focus more on like the first time he had to go through a ring with Longclaw.
Yeah.
Telling him to go and be safe. I thought those headhunters were going to go after him. I thought there was going to be more of other characters trying to get to him.
Yeah.
Rather than
just Robotnik.
Scientists,
yeah. And again, I think Jim Carrey really sold this because I thought it was really great as a whole movie, and I thought it was great as a children's movie because it was, of course, very childish, but it was fun. I'm sure parents really liked it too. I thought they did such a good job to relate to kids, and even though the humor was kind of silly, I thought that was a lot of fun, too. I mean, it was very literal and straightforward, but it was very innocent. Like, I love how innocent Sonic was, and it was like an origin story, pretty much. Like, the owl, I think, was new. I've never seen an owl before, but maybe in the newer games. But I love that idea. So I don't know in the beginning if that was Mobius, but it referred to a lot of video games that look like it with the loops and everything, because when you're playing Sonic in the video games, like, you're just running, and sometimes it's like a POV of Sonic where you just see behind him and you're looking forward, and wherever he runs you're just kind of following the trail, kind of like when he went through Egypt and everything, but that was more of an aerial view. It wasn't right behind him. The one I'm really familiar with is the two-dimensional pixelated, old school one that we kept seeing where it's just a side profile of Sonic, and you just see him, running straight and then doing the loops.
Pixelated hard.
Yeah, so that's the one I'm used to. I used to play, I think it was just Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I used to love that one. Like the first 2 levels I always loved. And I think Green Hill Zone might actually be from the first Sonic, but I have to go back. It's been so long. Yeah. So Green Hill Zone is actually a zone, is actually a level. And Green Hills was based off that,
Yeah.
Or named after that. They put a lot of love into it, showing that they researched their stuff. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, so I kind of wish they did go more into Sonic's world. I like the idea of the beginning with the owl. I wanted to know more about that. And I think that might have been Mobius because that's where he's from. And I don't know if they'll change that up. But I think now having this story, if they do make a second one, maybe we'll learn more now that Tails is there. And I lost my
and-
background. I'm just gonna
gosh,
cover
you're
myself at
right,
this
girl.
point because my background keeps like falling down. So I'm just gonna look funny here. It's my like awesome shawl of the ground. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. So there's so many characters of the Sonic universe, and there's a lot of newer characters. I was gonna say new characters, but I know they're not so new anymore. And then the old school ones that I know, which again, going back to the Saturday morning cartoons, I know like Tails. Tails has always been around. I'm just saying to the fans because I know you guys will be like, "What am I talking about?" But you know, I know.
Oh my God, yeah.
We only know the
Robotnik, of course, because that's what his name originally was. And then there's Sally, Rotor, Antoine. I still remember all those
my
names.
goodness.
And Buddy was one of them. And so it was like a darker series, but the animation, it was actually kind of decent. Nowadays, like I think I looked it up on YouTube maybe a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh my God, the animation isn't as great as I remember, but it was still a lot of fun. Like I love the theme song. So you guys should check out the old school Saturday morning cartoon of Sonic, the theme song. Check that out.
Yeah.
Blue Streak speeds by Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, I'm not gonna sing. Go ahead.
Oh my God.
Remember, Mom? Saturday mornings, I used to watch that. Tom and I used to watch that. We used to get so into it and be like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Oh my God.
So Robotnik always had the crazy mustache.
Oh, that was
yeah,
great.
And
that
bald,
was-
yeah, and he had this sidekick, not really a sidekick, but like this henchman or whatever that always like
That
helped
guy
him out.
kind of like what he had.
Kind of like what he
in
had
this
here,
movie.
and his name was Snively, and he was always like trying to support. I mean, he always was supporting Robotnik, but he was always very scared and conniving in his own way because he was scared of his boss, but he was also very like hateful towards his boss because he was always so mean to him. But his name was Snively, and this guy wasn't named Snively, so I'm curious if that's why they had him there, or just they just decided not even trying to reference that. But I hope that was a reference to that. So, anyways, you guys liked it. Did you think Sonic? I thought he was adorable.
He
He
was
was very
adorable.
cute. He
I
was
loved the
very
human
cute, yeah.
friends he met along the way.
That's right.
Maddie, and
Like
I
that.
loved her sister. That was a riot.
Oh, that
Like
was good,
tying up her
yes.
sister like that was hilarious. I'm like, you just left her there. But again, it's like just simplified and it's supposed to
Yeah.
be funny. And
And
she
Georgia
was
was
so
cute.
judgy from the beginning. Like
Oh
she
my
did
gosh,
not
she
like
was bad
her
to Tom.
husband. Yeah, she was not. And she's like, yeah, she's too good for you. You're not good enough. She's trying to, I mean, at that point when he
yeah.
did, knock on her door and she tried to shut him out, he was a fugitive and a terrorist from all these different things on the news. So
Right.
she was scared, but she never liked him to begin with. So,
Yeah,
it sucks to have like a family member like that who, if you're a good person and they're just judgy because something happened to them or
Never
whatever,
got
they just
out.
Yeah.
have to take it out
that's
on someone
true.
else. Like that sucks. But yeah, like I love Tom. I love his wife, and she was awesome. And
That
being a
sounds
vet
good.
too really came in handy. I mean, of course, like Sonic is not an animal, and animals he is, but like he's a humanoid alien animal. So and all animals are
Exactly. When
different.
She tried to revive him. She
Oh,
really
yeah?
didn't know,
She used human
what
salt.
his physiology is. So
Yeah. So did you like the idea of Sonic?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
I did.
I liked him
I thought it was
very
riot
much.
how
That
fast
was
he
good.
went.
Yeah, because you guys had no idea.
So
I mean, Mom and
fast.
Ken like knew that he was fast, but other than that, like he's super fast. In the video games, he's like a major weapon. Like he's a good guy. He's a hero. He's really fresh, from what I remember. Like he had an attitude. He has an attitude. That was part of the song too. But he was always very sarcastic and very fresh. So they definitely changed him here, where he was a little fresh, but it was cuter.
He
And
was
I
more
think they
excitable.
wanted,
Yeah.
so they wanted to make it more friendly towards people instead of being like a wise ass, because he really was, and he's older. He's like an older teenager or something in the cartoon and the game and whatever. So now they made him younger. So again, like you saw him as a baby or a toddler in the beginning with the owl, and then he's like innocent. He's very innocent. So I love that part. Like that was definitely more relatable and easier to get along with, and so that was really nice. But yeah, like he's really, really fresh. Other than that. And he's like this big weapon where he's the only one of his kind or something, and he's like super strong, and well, just because he's so fast. So when he was hitting that guy with the bottle, I'm like, he would have killed that guy, because like anytime you play him in the game, you jump and you do these honing in things where like you jump and you just zoom in and destroy, you like completely demolish whatever you touch. It just like blows up because he's moving so fast. So at the end, you kind of saw that because he was like building up and learning about his powers. So it was kind of fun to like not even see like how powerful he is until the end. You kind of saw a little bit, but the display of it was cool too with the lightning. I love that.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That's
And
good.
when he
It's
had
really
blacked
good.
out Green Hills. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah. And again, they didn't want to make it too scary for the kids, I'm sure. So that's why they didn't
Yeah,
do too much
gotcha,
more.
for sure.
You know? So you guys don't know this, but I do absolutely have to say this because you guys would be like, you're not going to talk about the design of Sonic. You have to talk about the designs. Originally, when the first trailer came out, I guess Sony was actually testing to see if people would like the trailer or not, right? And when the trailer first came out, Sonic looked completely different. They tried to make him look more like a realistic hedgehog, I think, and it wasn't good because they kept him blue. And I'll show you a reference. You guys won't be able to see it. You guys will, but our fans won't be able to see it, so I'll have to import that separately. Sonic actually looked really distorted and realistic in a way, and they tried to mix the cartoony version that we saw in this film with like this more realistic style.
Okay.
So try to imagine like that style and the cartoon style together. Like it did not work, and he looked like a monster. And to make him this innocent, cute, very friendly hedgehog, it would not have worked if they kept the original design. So people were so upset at that. Like when they first saw the first trailer, it got such bad reviews from fans that Sony really listened and pulled back the movie and reanimated Sonic, redesigned him and reanimated him entirely. I don't know how many millions it cost, but they completely revamped him and they made him look more like the traditional character, kind of like this, but they didn't want to give him the one eye because, again, that's all stylized. Like back then, we never tried to make cartoons more relatable, more realistic. So making him like this looked too scary. So they gave him smaller eyes and everything. So changing the actual design to make him more like this, you know, they still gave him two eyes, but they made them bigger, and then they just put a little fur patch here. That's Peach. So it kind of looks like he has a uni eye, but he doesn't. Anyways, like, let me show you the actual designs really quick. Yeah, because it's interesting. So you're going to see it on my other computer. Okay, so here's one. Okay, let me show you. So this is him yelling. So this is the original design. You see that? Look how different he looks there.
Yeah, definitely.
He looks, I mean, I know they tried hard to make this first design, but he looks so ugly in this one. And his eyes and his teeth, he doesn't look good. And then this one, because he's a blue hedgehog, and he's not supposed to look like a normal hedgehog, but it's hard sometimes because certain movies it works and certain ones it doesn't, but he's too stylized to make him look real. So here's another reference too. Let me show you this one. So you can kind of see this one too. Over here, and what they did was they didn't give him gloves, they gave him tiny shoes, and with his proportions like just didn't match up, and he had tiny hands with his huge head and skinny body, and then he had no gloves on, so they made his hands white to look like gloves, but I'm like, why not just give him gloves at that point, because it doesn't make sense. And then his feet were so tiny compared to this really skinny body, even though his head was huge in the style, like that's what we're used to, so it looks nice that way. So it was just so different. Look how weird he looks there. And it's kind of freaky. So I like how small they made him too. In this one, the scaling was like almost not hedgehog size because he would have been like this big, but they made him not too big where he was more intimidating because then it might look a little creepy that way. So him being small, like a small dog or medium-sized dog or a big cat, bigger than a cat, but it was more acceptable. Like it was nicer, and you just saw him as like an animal, like something you would want as a pet, even though he was more human. You know, like you could really be like, oh, because I remember when he was dead or really hurt, and then when Tom picked him up, we were all like, oh, the poor hedgehog, you know. But if he was bigger, we would have been like, oh, like our reactions would have been different. And the animation was incredible. Once the design was right, like the animation was incredible. And I wanted to learn more about the rings because the ring idea on this one was very different. Although in the old school Sonic games, they had the rings that at the end of a level you would jump through, and I guess it was like a portal because you would disappear and it would take you somewhere else. But the rings, you'd always see a bunch of rings in a line. And when you would run, all you hear is ding, 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 because you would collect all the rings, and that would give you more life. Not like growing life, but like if you got like 100 rings, you get like an extra life. And if you had no rings, if you got hit by a bad guy, you die. So you'd always have to have rings. Kind of thing. So, anyways,
have your rings.
Aren't you guys excited to learn a lot about Sonic? There's a quiz later, guys. So yeah, so this was a great like callback. I love watching Sonic again. It's been a while since I've actually played any games at all, but I used to love Sonic. And sorry to babble because you guys have no idea besides the movie, so I just went on this whole tangent. But I am really curious what you guys have to think. I do say that a lot, but I really mean what I say, and I always get excited to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. So I think we'll end it there. Anything else you guys want to add?
No, I just really liked it. It was nice.
It was very nice.
I really liked the villain. He was great.
I know Robotnik was great, yeah. So Dr. Eggman, Dr. Robotnik, do you guys know of Robotnik? Does he sound familiar? Did you like that name more than the Eggman name? I just like Robotnik because that's the one I know.
Robotnik, yeah.
You remember Robotnik? I know Tom and I used to watch
him.
Sonic all the time as kids.
Saying something about
always used to watch it. We used to love it so much. But I was always a Tails person and Tom was always Sonic. And any game we played that had the two characters, like I'd always play Tails. I was like, I want to be Tails. And then they have Knuckles. Have you ever heard of Knuckles? He's this red.
Knuckles,
okay, yeah, you don't know. He had the big fist,
you know?
and then he had like the spikes on the fist, and he used to, anyways, whatever. So I'm sure there'll be a Sonic 2. Hopefully he'll be a part of that. And I used to love Shadow the Hedgehog because I used to play that game too on PlayStation 2.
The Shadow.
Woohoo! A lot of influences when I growing up with Sonic, for sure. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you very soon as always. Bye, guys!
Bye.
My Harry Potter cloak.
Bye-bye.
I disappeared.
Through a ring.